Hello, Algebra 2 students. This is your Unit 2A review to get you ready for your Unit 2A test. A couple of things before we get started. I've decided to break this up. I don't want these videos to be too long, so I've broken this up into 4 separate videos. This first video will be numbers 1 through 10 on the review. Second thing I want you to remember is it's a good idea to work through these problems with me, but then since you will have to perform these same skills on the test by yourself, you might want to cover up all these answers and then work them again. It's one thing to watch me do the problems and understand what I'm doing, but when you have to do it completely on your own on the test, that's a completely different skill. So it'd be a good idea to work through these twice. Another thing you'll notice is that my version of the review, I've spread things out so that there's room to work the problem in an effort to save paper. Your problems are a lot closer together, so you might want to grab an extra piece of paper. You'll want to show your work on another piece of paper. All right, so let's get started. First of all, I've already filled in numbers 1, 2, and 3, and then also the slope over here. These different forms of a linear equation are equations that you need to memorize. You need to know these by now. This is Algebra 2. You've seen these before in Algebra 1. You also need to know the slope formula. So take some time and commit these to memory. All right, let's start with our first skill. For each equation, we're going to find the slope and y-intercept of linear equations that are written in standard form. So just a reminder, if you have an equation written in ax plus by equals c form, that's called standard form of a linear equation, you can quickly find the slope by taking the opposite of a and dividing it by b, and you can find the y-intercept by taking c and dividing it by b. Now, where do you find capital A, B, and C? Well, A will be the coefficient of your x term, B will be the coefficient of your y term, and C will be your constant term. So let's take a look at number 4. We're going to find the slope and the y-intercept of this equation written in standard form. Remember, A is the coefficient of your x term, so A is 2. B is negative 6. Notice the negative in front of this term. That's part of the term. And then C, your constant term, is 3. All right, so let's find the slope of this line. We're going to take the opposite of A and divide it by B. Now, A in this case is positive 2, so its opposite is negative 2. B, remember, is negative 6. Don't forget about that negative in front of the term. And then negative 2 divided by negative 6 will reduce to positive 1/3. All right. Now, to find the slope, we're going to take C divided by B. So in this case, that would be 3 divided by negative 6, which reduces to negative 1/2. All right, I'm going to pause the video and work out numbers 5, 6, and 7. So you might want to pause as well, work those out, and you'll be able to check your answer in just a second. All right, you might want to pause the video and check your answers for numbers 5, 6, and 7. Continuing on, let's take a look at number 8. Now, you will not find a problem like this in your notes, so it's important that you practice this. This is a review, though, of a skill that you would have learned in Algebra 1. Find the x-intercept and the y-intercept of a linear equation, in this case written in standard form. So remember, the x and y-intercepts are the points where the line crosses the x and y axes. So that's where either x will be equal to 0 or y will be equal to 0. So just a reminder, to find the y-intercept, we're going to plug 0 in for x for the y-intercept, and then plug 0 in for y to find the x-intercept. So to keep yourself organized, you might want to make a little xy chart. All right. We're going to put 0 in for x to find our y-intercept, and then we'll turn around and put 0 in for y to find our x-intercept. So let's first find the y-intercept. So I'm going to take my equation of 3x minus 4y equals negative 24. And to find the y-intercept, I'm going to put a 0 in for x. Put a 0 in right here. So we'd have 3 times 0 minus 4 times y is equal to negative 24. All right, 3 times 0 is 0. So we'd have negative 4y is equal to negative 24. Divide both sides by negative 4. And we get y is equal to positive 6. So our x-intercept, or excuse me, our y-intercept when x0 is 6. Now, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to find the x-intercept, and then you can check your answer in just a second. All right, so your x-intercept when y is 0 is -8. All right, moving on to number 9, let's take a look at that equation. It says write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through the point 9, 4 and has a slope of -2/3. So we're given the point, a point that lies on the line. We're given the slope. So point and a slope. We want to use our point slope form. So let's start by writing that down. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to the slope times x minus x sub 1. All right, so to write this equation, we need to plug in two pieces of information. One would be the x and y value of a point that lies on the line. Well, that was given to us. Here's our x1, y1. And then we also need the slope of the line, and we're given that information as well. So we'll just plug that information into our equation. So we'd have y minus the y value of our point is 4. So y minus 4 is equal to the slope of -2/3 times x minus the x value of our point, that would be 9. All right, so now to get it in slope-intercept form, we're just going to solve for y. Let's start by getting rid of the parentheses on the right side by using the distributive property. -2/3 times x is -2/3 x. And then -2/3 times -9, that's a negative times a negative, so our product will be positive, so we're going to write plus. Now, this is how I do this arithmetic in my head. It's easy to find 1/3 of 9, right? 1/3 of 9 is 3, but I don't want 1/3, I want 2/3. So 2/3 then would be twice that, or 6. All right, last step to solve for y. Let's add 4 to both sides. And we get y is equal to -2/3 x plus 10. All right, that's the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. All right, moving on to number 10. Number 10 asks us, to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that is perpendicular to this line and passes through the point 12, -10. All right, so our beginning point is always going to be point slope form. So let's write that down. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to the slope times x minus x sub 1. Okay, so again, the two things we need a point that lies on the line. Well, we're given that right here. Here's our x1, there's our y sub 1. The other thing we need is the slope, okay? Remember, we're looking for the slope of a line that's perpendicular to this one. Now, notice this equation is in standard form. That's why up here at the top of the page, I had you practice finding slope of a line when the equation is in standard form. You can do it quickly if you use the opposite of a over b. So to find a slope, we're going to take the opposite of a divided by b. All right, in this case, a is 3. Its opposite then would be -3. Okay, b, notice the sign in front of the term, b is -5. So our slope is -3 divided by -5. Remember, a negative divided by negative is a positive, so the slope of this line is 3/5. But that's not the slope we want. We want the slope of a line that's perpendicular to this line. So remember, to find a perpendicular slope, you have to do two things. You're going to take the opposite reciprocal of this slope. So flip it over to get the reciprocal and then change the sign. The perpendicular slope would be -5/3. All right, so there's our m that we're going to plug in right here. And here's our x1, y1. So let's plug that into the equation. Y minus, now we're subtracting a -10. Subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive, so that would be y plus 10 is equal to our slope of -5/3 times x minus the x value of our point, -12. Okay, so now all we have to do is solve this for y and we're done, because we were asked for the equation in slope-intercept form. That means solve for y. So rewrite the left side, y plus 10. On the right, let's distribute and get rid of those parentheses. Negative 5/3 times x would be negative 5/3 x. And then negative 5/3 times negative 12, that's going to be a positive product. And then let's think about this. I need 5/3 of 12. Well, 1/3 of 12 is 4, right? 1/3 is 12 of 12 is 4, but we don't want 1/3. We want 5 of those. 5 times 4 is 20. All right, and then the last step is let's subtract 10 from both sides to get this equation solved for y, and our final answer is y is equal to negative 5/3. Whoops, I'm missing an x right here. I hope you caught that mistake. Negative 5/3 x plus 20 minus 10 is 10. All right, so that's the end of our first video. Go ahead and click on the next video to do the next part of the review.